Okay, today we're reading out of As Bill Sees It, Newcomers, and references to Newcomers. I'm going to start out on 14, and then Desiree is going to read page 28. Newcomer problems. The temptation has become rather possessive of newcomers. Perhaps we try to give them advice about their affairs, which aren't really competent to give or ought not be given at all. Then we are hurt and confused when the advice is rejected, or when it is accepted and brings still greater confusion. You can make a horse drink water if he still, you can't make a horse drink water if he still prefers beer or is too crazy to know what he does want. Set a pail of water beside him, tell him how good it is and why, and leave him alone. If people really want to get drunk, there is, so far as I know, no way of stopping this. So leave them alone and let them get drunk. But don't exclude them from the water pail either.
Troublemakers can be teachers, page 28. Few of us are any longer afraid of what any newcomer can do to our AA reputation or effectiveness. Those who slip, those who panhandle, those who scandalize, those with mental twist, those who rebel at the program, those who trade on the AA reputation, all such persons seldom harm an AA group for long. Some of these have become our most respected and best loved. Some have remained to try our patience, sober, nevertheless. Others have drifted away. We have begun to regard the troublesome ones not as menaces, but rather as our teachers. They oblige us to cultivate patience, tolerance, and humility. We finally see that they are only people sicker than the rest of us, that we who condemn them are the Pharisees whose false righteousness does our group the deeper spiritual damage.
Okay, I'm going to read 57, and Desiree will read 62. Better than gold. As newcomers, many of us have indulged in spiritual intoxication. Like a gaunt prospector, belt drawn in over the last ounce of food, we saw our pick strike gold. Joy at our release from a lifetime of frustration knew no bounds. The newcomer feels he has struck something better than gold. He might not see at once that he has barely scratched the limitless load which will pay dividends only if he minds it for the rest of his life and insists on giving away the entire product.
'62, a different swinging door. When a drunk shows up among us and says that he doesn't like the AA principles, people, or service management, when he declares that he can do better elsewhere, we are not worried. We simply say, maybe your case really is different. Why don't you try something else? If an AA member says he doesn't like his own group, we are not disturbed. We simply say, why don't you try another one? Or start one of your own. To those who wish to succeed from AA altogether, we extend a cheerful invitation to do just that. If they can do better by other means, we are glad. If after a trial they cannot do better, we know they face a choice. They can go mad or die, or they can return to AA. The decision is wholly theirs. As a matter of fact, most of them do come back.
Okay, I'm going to read 6-9, and then Desiree will read 105. Giving without demand. Watch any AA of 6 months working with a 12-step prospect, can't even say the word. If the newcomer says, "To the devil with you," and the 12th stepper only smiles and finds another alcoholic to help, he doesn't feel frustrated or rejected. If his next drunk responds and in turn starts to give love and attention to other sufferers, yet gives none back to him, the sponsor is happy about it anyway. He still doesn't feel rejected. Instead, he rejoices that his former prospect is sober and happy. And he well knows that his own life has been made richer, and an extra dividend of giving to another without any demand for a return.
105, more ahead. To spend too much time on any one alcoholic is to deny some other an opportunity to live and be happy. One of our fellowship failed entirely with his first half dozen prospects. He often says that if he had continued to work on them, he might have deprived many others who have since recovered of their chance. Our chief responsibility to the newcomer is an adequate presentation of the program. If he does nothing or argues, we do nothing but maintain our own sobriety. If he starts to move ahead, even a little, with an open mind, we then break our necks to help in every way we can.
Okay, I'm going to read 118. Desiree will read 1, 2, 3. Prelude to the program. Few people will sincerely try to practice the AA program unless they have hit bottom. For practicing AA steps means the adoption of attitudes and action that almost no alcoholic who is still drinking can dream of taking. The average alcoholic, self-centered in the extreme, doesn't care for this prospect unless he has to do these things in order to stay alive himself. We know to the newcomer who has hit bottom, otherwise, not much can happen. Because we are drunks who understand him, we can use a depth in the nutcracker of the obsession plus the allergy as a tool of such power that it can shatter his ego. Only thus can he be convinced that that on his own unaided resources, he has little or no chance.
123, a new AA and his family. When alcoholism strikes, very unnatural situations may develop which work against marriage, partnership, and compatible union. If the man is affected, the wife must become the head of the house, often the breadwinner. As matters get worse, the husband becomes a sick and irresponsible child who needs to be looked after and extricated from endless scrapes and impasses. Very gradually, usually without any realization of the fact, the wife is forced to become the mother of an erring boy, and the alcoholic alternately loves and hates her maternal care. Under the influence of AA's 12 steps, these situations are often set right. Whether the family goes on a spiritual basis or not, the alcoholic member has to, if he would ever recover. The other must be convinced of his new status beyond the shadow of a doubt. Seeing is believing to most families who have lived with a drinker.
Okay. I'm going to read 146, and then Desiree will read 165. Do as I do. Perhaps more often than we think, we make no contact at depth with alcoholics who are suffering the dilemma of no faith. Certainly none are more sensitive to spiritual cocksuredness, pride, and aggression than they are. I'm sure this is something we too often forget. In AA's first years, I all but ruined the whole undertaking with this sort of unconscious arrogance. God, as I understood him, had to be for everybody. Sometimes my aggression was subtle and sometimes it was crude, but either way it was damaging, perhaps fatally so, to numbers of non-believers. Of course, this sort of thing isn't confined to 12-step work. It is very apt to leak out into our relations with everybody. Even now, I catch myself chanting the same old barrier-building refrain, do as I do, believe as I do, or else.
165, success. In 12th stepping, we now see that in 12th stepping, the immediate results are not so important. Some people start out working with others and have immediate success. They are likely to get cocky. Those of us who are not so successful at first get depressed. As a matter of fact, the successful worker differs from the unsuccessful only in being lucky about his prospects. He simply hits newcomers who are ready and able to stop at once. Given the same prospects, the seemingly unsuccessful person would have produced almost the same results. You have to work on a lot of newcomers before the law of averages commences to assert itself. All true communication must be founded on mutual need. We saw that each sponsor would have to admit humbly his own needs as clearly as those of his prospect.